respected dignitaries on the dais, trustees of Penn, distinguished guests, and my friends from the press and media, the family of Sri Ram, உங்கள் எல்லோருக்கும் என்னுடைய மனமார்ந்த வணக்கம். Today is a very emotional day for Penn. One of the pillars of Penn is not here to celebrate this moment. I could feel the emotion when we unveiled the beautiful portrait. I can imagine how the family and the trustees are feeling today. But I think his spirit, the energy, the vision, everything is there in each one of you to take this whole movement forward successfully. India is considered one of the world's most dangerous countries in terms of safety for women and sexual violence against women, for which actually we should be all ashamed of. Of course, respected ADGP gave us a very beautiful account of what the government has been working towards, a lot of effort to prevent violence and crime against women. Of course, the thing is that the important thing is to see whether we have sufficient, whether our penal code is strong enough to act as a deterrent against this fight against violence against women in the current circumstances, whether the punishment is sufficient enough. So those are things which we need to really look at and maybe improve on. But apart from all that, I think the proverb, prevention is better than cure, is so relevant now, because once we prevent it at the grassroots level, and that's what is going to help this whole process. And that's where sensitizing men against any kind of violence against women comes into play, and which is a very important point that many of the trustees also mentioned here. There are so many contrary influences working in our society, especially social media, television, cinema, which we find sometimes, they completely uphold violence against women and normalize violence against women, or possibly even justify it as a very acceptable social treatment. Because this is a very important point, because if you look at the messages going out on popular media, that can be misused completely. இப்போ பாருங்கள் சீரியல்லாம் always if you see women are all villains, and to set right the man will just slap her. What is this? What are we trying to prove? So what we're doing here, normalizing violence against women. So this is something we need to change. So we need to sensitize men about the violence against women, and we need to see that there is sufficient deterrence and laws that enable such sensitization, whether it is censorship laws or popular media or what comes out in the press, everything. So how do we tackle this? This is a very important point that we need to ponder about. The other thing itself is the role of a woman herself. Sometimes women themselves could enable violence against another woman. I think women have to also be sensitized. Emotional violence takes place regularly against women, which is, like I said, in the form of social stigmas we are attached to. In terms of how we interpret women's rights, women's views, laws, the social position of a woman. How do we treat, for example, a divorced woman? How do we treat a widow? You will see that even in very, very educated families, for instance, when there is a marriage, a widow is kept away from the celebrations. Why is that so? And why is it that other women around don't feel bad about it? They are also party to it then. So we need to sensitize the women also. So there is a constant stigma of emotional violence all the time, perpetrated by men and women in society, which is a huge social violence in itself. In fact, I am reminded of a very interesting incident. A very, very dear friend of mine, during his marriage, எங்களோட கஸ்டமில் வந்து அந்த தாளம் பிடிப்பாங்க லேடிஸ். நார்மலி இட்ஸ் வெரி பியூட்டிஃபுல் கேர்ள்ஸ், நிறைய யங் கேர்ள்ஸ் வந்து தாளம் பிடிச்சபடி அது பிரைட் அண்ட் பிரைட் ரூமை அழைச்சிட்டு வருவாங்க. My friend and his wife decided that they will have only divorced women and widows for the talam. So that's something, that's a great thought. So but just to summarize, we have to first ponder over whether our laws are sufficient to act as a deterrent. How effective is our redressal mechanism available? Then we come to prevention. How good is our sensitization? How good is our law and government mechanism to check social and media influences that perpetrate violence against women? And then we come to the emotional aspect, how we can prevent this. All that I have been mentioning today is what Penn is all about. That's what they're doing. And that's what they're trying to do. I'm truly blessed to be a part of this beautiful venture. And Sridhar is a very good friend. Sriram Sharma, I know him even before so many years. My first very, very successful devotional song was written by Sriram Sharma, and became a huge hit. So I'm so happy that he's also part of this. And Penn has been doing such amazing and selfless work in terms of fighting for women's protection, spreading awareness, instilling positive thoughts on gender issues, and this will definitely enable and enhance the future population from practicing gender discrimination. So again, my sincere thanks, Sridhar. Thank you for making me a part of this beautiful venture, and I'm so happy to be associated with Penn and help in whatever way I can to make sure that their objectives are met and to make the world a better place, a much better place, and a safer place for women and children.